In my last video, I shared about Elgato's Prompter and you had questions. So today that's what I'm going to do is try and answer as many as I can. And if there's anything I missed, let me know in the comments. Now, the first one I want to address is the cable because I think it's a little misleading. And a few people said, I don't have another HDMI port, and it actually is not HDMI. The cable that connects into the teleprompter display is USB-C, but the one that connects to your computer is actually USB-A. Now it's 3.0, but it is a type A, and I wanted to clarify that. Now that leads into the second one around the resolution. A lot of questions about this. So the actual resolution is 1024 by 600. Now a few people said, that's too low, I need HD. Here's what I'll say to that. My prior monitor that I used was actually a really high resolution, but I would actually find myself reducing that just so I could read it. If I had a Zoom meeting on the screen, I could barely make out people's names or let alone the menu or controls. So to be able to actually navigate on that screen, I actually did reduce the resolution. If you are often going to be sharing that screen and the resolution really matters, then this might not be the option for you. But as far as readability, I actually really like the resolution as it is right now. All right, the next one. Can you import scripts? Based on what I can tell so far, the camera hub script or text area does not appear to have that. I know that they are doing some work and that there are going to be some changes rolling out for the scripts, but right now it does not seem like you can directly import a script. Okay, another one that came up, voice control. A lot of people said this needs to be voice controlled. That is not currently an option, but one of the things you can do is because it's a display, if you don't use the built-in text in the camera hub, you can actually use any voice controlled software that works on your computer and just bring the screen or bring the app up onto your teleprompter and then just use it with the voice control. Personally, a few years ago when I tried voice control, I had the same line a couple of times, or I said the same few words, and it jumped on me. I didn't like that, so I like to have a little bit more control when it comes to script reading. But if you love a voice-controlled script, just use the display with your other software until maybe Elgato comes out with it. Okay, the next thing that I heard about was, does it work with other controls? And actually something I knew but I didn't mention is that you can actually put your mouse, cursor, or trackpad and you can scroll on the text on the prompter. So you don't have to have anything fancy. You don't have to have the dials or even the Stream Deck, even though it's pretty great. And you can actually just use the scrolling of your mouse or trackpad. You could get something like a separate trackpad if you want, maybe have that on your other side, and you can just control the flow of your script if you like. Okay, the next one, the script over display. This is actually something I didn't realize until after I published the video. And even though it was there, the control was there, you can change the opacity. So if you want to actually maybe see a call in front of you or see your recording, and then you want to have the script over top of it, you can do that. So you can just set the opacity so that you can see both your script and what's behind it. Keep in mind that you can't control what's behind it. So you might have to toggle between text and display mode in order to control things that are on the display, but you can read a script over the display. Just don't have the camera hub software behind your text. Keep that somewhere else. All right, the next one is, what about slides on the teleprompter? You can absolutely put your slides on a teleprompter. I opened up PowerPoint and tested this out, same with Keynote. You can present to your teleprompter screen so you can see your presentation mode on there, or maybe you want to see the presenter notes on your teleprompter. That is also an option. You can kind of swap which one you see the notes on and which one you see the display. Keep in mind, if you are sharing those slides, say through screen share, that the resolution is probably going to be lower if you're sharing the presentation from your prompter than if you were to share it from another display on your computer. So maybe use the notes and the presenter notes in the prompter and share from another screen if you're doing that. Okay, is it good for Zoom calls? Yeah, it is. However, if it's a really big Zoom call, it is better for speaker mode instead of gallery mode. If you only have a few people on the call, then it works fine. But the more people on the call, then it's harder to work with gallery mode. You could also do a dual monitor with Zoom where you turn on a second screen, put that one, and that will show the active speaker, and then you can see the grid on another display, which is a helpful trick. Okay, the next question, reflection in glasses. Okay, these are for distance, but let's try them. So I've got my glasses here, and there is a little bit of a reflection, but I think it's more the curtains behind the teleprompter. And if I tilt my head and look up at the prompter, I actually think it's my big display, the second one on the side. But here's what I will say. When it comes to what you put on your display, I want you to pay attention to light versus dark, because I actually would really like you to use dark as much as possible on the display. Let's do an example. I'm going to take a bright white browser screen and I'm going to put that up here. Now, as far as glare, I don't think it has a big impact, but did you notice that the camera looks different? I'm going to pull this away and then I'm going to put this back. We'll do this one more time. And you can see that my camera, the output of my camera is changing. And what's happening is that I am creating a really bright environment right below where my camera is. And remember that the glass is reflecting that display. So all of a sudden the glass is reflecting something that's really bright and white, and that's changing the look of it's almost like putting a filter over the camera. So that's the test there. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is for doing wide. So someone said, can I use my 16mm camera with this? What I would say to that is, Elgato says up to 20mm as far as wide. And when I say wide, I mean, if you have a really wide lens, you're going to catch the side of your teleprompter. And so 16 probably is not going to be hyper compatible with a teleprompter just almost any time. If you get as close as possible to the glass, that definitely helps with the wider angle. But chances are you're going to have to crop that or zoom in a little bit in order to not see the edges of the teleprompter. And I think that's just a reality of the teleprompter. Okay, next question. Where to position it? So personally for me, I have mine right above my computer, but I saw some great setups, and there are some really good examples if you look at the Elgato page and talking about the prompter of different setups. I would say either just above or beside, and you really want to play around. Your space is going to probably implicate what you can and cannot do, but it's pretty lightweight, so you can have different types of mounts, which is really helpful, because I think past ones that were really heavy, that was a little bit harder to do. Okay, the next one, mounting options. Something I didn't mention in the video is that I mentioned I'm using a tripod, but I actually have a quick release on my tripod, and that almost was a barrier, because the actual mounting device is a little bit wide, or the quick release, and it did fit barely. So I did have to turn my tripod sideways in order to fit it. So I think this prompter does work better with a skinnier mounting option, something like the master mount or like the low profile arm, but a really big base might actually be a bit of a hindrance. So I did want to mention that. When it comes to mounting a webcam, a phone, anything that has the 1/4" thread is going to help, or if you have something in between, like to hold your phone, if you put your phone on a phone holder with that 1/4" mount, just like any other camera mount, then you have some options. It's not 100%. I don't think every single camera is going to fit, but I think a lot of different types of cameras are going to fit, and you can absolutely use a phone or a webcam or a more stereotypical camera. Okay, someone asked me about Twitch chat integration, or mentioned that I never mentioned it. And this is a feature in the camera hub. The reason I didn't mention it is because I don't have a Twitch account. Okay, I technically have a Twitch account. And fun fact, a couple years ago, I did briefly contemplate having a channel where I kind of knitted and nerded out, or maybe talk about Game of Thrones and then knit things. But clearly that never happened. But I'm pretty good at knitting. All right, those are all of the questions that I saw that were available that I wanted to address. Let me know in the comments, are there other questions? What do you think so far? And I don't know if I'll do another video on this, but I will help as much as I can in the comments. I am definitely still enjoying the prompter. I think they've done a great job with it, and it's a great addition to my home studio.